Hello everybody, it is CJ McKenna back once again for the finale of me talking about the Sensitive Nachos. Today we'll be discussing our final release, our third full-length record, By Losers for Losers, released May 23rd, 2015. So after the release of Broken Bones, Broken Homes, and Floor Lamps, we went back to start working on this album, because as you guys know, as I explained in the last episode, we had actually started recording this record after Prime Gleim, and Broken Bones was kind of this last-minute EP that just kind of got thrown in between the two. So really, By Losers for Losers was recorded on and off from February to May 2015. And this album is actually kind of an epic. I mean, it's our longest album, it's 19 songs long. It's also our most diverse album. I think it has a little bit of everything we would attempt with the band. It has the rap songs, the weird songs, the alternative songs, the pop punk songs. Even like some of the metal, like hardcore stuff kind of creeps its way on this album as well. And I think it's just kind of a really solid way to go out. Like, I feel like we went out knowing that we did all we could with the band. Also, at the time, I think I was quoted on saying that this is the album that represents us best as a band. And I gotta say, I still agree with that statement. I don't know if it's my favorite by us, but I think it's definitely our most diverse and probably our most interesting, I'd say. And the thing about this album is that when it came out, it was actually marketed as our last album. Like, we knew for sure beforehand that this would be our last recording. And you guys are probably wondering, why did the Sensitive Nachos break up? Well, to be honest, it was something that was brewing for quite a while. And I didn't really mention this in any of the other episodes, but pretty much all throughout the 10th grade year, I quit the band like multiple times. You have to remember that this band was just Thomas and I. You know, there was no managers, there was no record label, no mixing engineers, recording engineers. It was literally just us. And Thomas was the kind of kid who was just constantly recording. And it got to the point where it became very overwhelming to me. So I would often quit the band, and he was very particular about certain things. And I think he would get frustrated very easily, which would get me frustrated very easily. And we were just like two really kind of depressed, weird kids making music together. And, you know, there's only bound to be tension. Thomas wasn't the easiest person to work with, and neither was I. I was very anti-everything at this point in my life. I was just this kind of weird, depressed kid, like I was saying. And I was also really into political punk, and the Sensitive Nachos were kind of a goofy, you know, almost borderline offensive band who sang about cupcakes and fucking your mom. And when you're a kid, I really wanted to be taken seriously. And this was like the one band I was in, and I wanted to be in a band with like a message. And you have to remember at the time, I didn't have any solo Pootie records out. I only had demos, which weren't even available online. And I kept wanting to record Pootie stuff, but I was constantly working on songs with Thomas, so I just felt like I never had free time to do my own thing. And it almost felt like I was being misrepresented by being in this band, because it just didn't really stand for anything that I wanted to stand for. And it might seem kind of silly to some, but at the time, it was something that I felt really strongly about. So yeah, the real reason why the band broke up is because of me. Yeah, I often cite political differences, musical differences, me wanting to try something else, and me just kind of being done with that stage of my life as all the reasons why the band broke up. And originally, Thomas was really against it. You know, we had a lot of big arguments about it. He kept trying to get me back into it, but eventually he just accepted it. He agreed that it was time to do something else, and we both agreed that this would be our last record we would ever make. It's funny because Thomas had actually picked the name of our next album after this one. I think he was going to call it something along the lines of like stealing from your local ice cream truck or parlor or something like that. But obviously that one never came out. And obviously when we were recording these songs, we didn't know that this was going to be the last album until maybe like the last month we were doing it. But when we were making the track listing, I think we made a really conscious effort to put a little bit of everything on the album. So there's just a shit ton of songs on this album, but believe it or not, there was actually supposed to be more. There are so many B-sides from this album, a lot of really good songs too. There was one called Out of Luck Again, which was like a really fun pop punk song that Thomas wrote. It didn't make the record because we wanted a female vocalist to sing with Thomas on it, and we couldn't find anybody. There's also another song called I'm Stuck in a Room, which was like a 19-minute long song about Thomas being stuck in a room and he couldn't get out. Yeah, there was just a lot of cool stuff that didn't actually end up making the album. A lot of Thomas solo stuff. And that's the thing about this album. I think this album is very Thomas solo heavy. There's a lot of really cool Thomas compositions on this one, but there's also a lot of cool rap songs that I quite like that have both of us on it. As far as the recording setup goes for this one, it's pretty much like all the other ones. Obviously, the rap songs were recorded at school using Thomas's iPhone, and even the punk and alternative songs were recorded at Thomas's house using his iPhone, and then he would send me tracks, and I would put bass to it. But there's a little interesting thing about the bass on this album, and it's not the way it was recorded. This album, I recorded the bass just like all the other ones, using my Fender SP10 guitar practice amp with my Ibanez Geo Soundgear bass, and I recorded it using my M-Audio Producer USB microphone, just leaned up against the bass ever so slightly. But that's not the interesting thing about the bass on this album. The interesting thing is that I'm barely playing the bass on this album. And what I mean by that is that I was so uninterested and so mentally clocked out of the band at this time that I didn't even bother to learn the songs. Thomas would send me a tab, and I wasn't a good bass player. I didn't even really know how to read a tab. So what I would do is I would record, and I would just play random-ass notes for almost all of the song. But then for specific moments, I would come up with like a little melodic part, and when I was mixing it, I would mix the bass kind of, audible during the parts that I actually came up with something for, and then the parts where I'm just playing random-ass notes, I would mix inaudibly. I would put it so low to the point where you couldn't even hear it. So that's the interesting thing about the bass in this album, is that I just didn't give two shits, and then I'm just playing like random-ass notes for almost all of it, except for like certain moments in certain songs where you can hear like a little bit of melody coming out. But yeah, I was just that uninterested, that lazy, and honestly, like, I don't even really regret it that much, because like it doesn't really matter, because I had such a bad bass tone, you wouldn't have been able to hear it anyway. But it's just like a funny thing. It's like I was that lazy. It's bizarre, really. And it's really not fair to the songs, because the songs are actually really good, I think. Thomas was writing some really great stuff, but I was just so mentally clocked out that I just didn't even care. And I eventually told Thomas about it like a couple months after the album came out, and I think we both had a laugh about it. And from that point on, we always called it BLFL in it, which is just by losers for losers, which pretty much means I'm just playing random-ass notes. And he would actually use this against me in the future, because whenever I would actually like spend time and come up with like a melodic, like complex bass part for future songs, he would question it. He was saying, "Are you just playing random notes? Are you just BLFL in it?" I have a hard time saying that. BLFL in it. But yeah, so he would always say that to me, and it would actually piss me off, because like I just spent all this time coming up with this bass part, and you think I'm just playing random ass notes? But yeah, so he ended up like using that against me quite a few times, but rightfully so, because I mean it's just such a ridiculous thing to do, just play random ass notes on a record. But it's actually almost like very Sensitive Nachos of me. It's very meme. Anyway, without further ado, let's go ahead and get right into talking about the songs, because there's so damn many of them. So let's start off with track 1, Play Copy. Now this is an opening skit that I am solely responsible for. Yes, this is all me. I recorded this alone in my bedroom using my M-Audio Producer USB microphone, and it is terrible. I hate this skit. This is something that Thomas wanted me to do, because in Miss Alberto's class, I was telling him this story, and the story is actually a true story based on something I read with the band Bowling for Soup. So pretty much the story goes is that in the UK, one of their albums had a misprint on it, so the song Cody was actually misprinted as Copy. So when they would play the UK, they would have fans who would hold up signs saying, "Play Copy." And the band was like, "What the hell is Copy?" Because they didn't know about the misprint. And it kind of created this kind of funny story. I think it's an interview I read with him. I don't really remember where that source came from. I just remember like reading something or maybe listening to something, Jarrett Reddick talking about this situation. And pretty much I was in Miss Alberto's class and I was explaining this story to Thomas. And I guess I must have explained it like really well. And I guess that one time I explained it, I must have been like pretty funny with it, because he wanted me to recreate it and put it as an opening skit to this album. So that's what I did. Over the weekend, I recorded this little skit for this album. And it's kind of funny because it starts off with me being the band. They end with the song 1985. You can hear the 85. And, that's me kind of attempting to voice every member of Bowling for Soup. But I don't really put on different voices for them. So it's just kind of an awkward skit, really. And obviously that's me doing the terrible English accent impersonation. I'm so sorry for that. I never meant to offend anybody or be disrespectful. Again, you do things and you don't really think about them at the time. But yeah. And yeah, I just hate this skit. Everything about it just sucks. It's not funny. It's awkward. It's weird. The fact that it starts off the record is just, it's a terrible way to start the record off. And yeah. But I will say, the ending thing where I scream, like, "What the fuck is Copy, you stupid motherfuckers?" I remember I tried recording that at home, but like I just couldn't get into it because my parents were home, my mom was home, and I didn't want to be cussing with my mom being home. So I had to wait till she left, and I re-recorded it with me just like screaming it at the top of my lungs. And yeah, that's like one vivid memory I have of that one line was like re-recorded. But yeah, this song sucks. It's not even a song, it's a skit. But I am solely responsible for it, and I am sorry. Anyway, track 2 is Bowling for Soup and the Florida Accident. So yeah, these two songs go hand in hand with each other. This song was actually written before, obviously, and then Thomas wanted me to record play copy to put it as a skit in front of this song. But I didn't know that these two songs are going to be starting off the damn record. I did not sequence this record, Thomas did. But yeah. So yeah, Bowling for Soup and the Florida Accident is a song that I actually like. This song was written completely by Thomas alone in his bedroom, and it was recorded by Thomas. He programmed the drums, he plays guitar on it, and I play bass on it. But play bass is obviously in air quotes. But there actually is a cool little bass line that I actually like in this song, where like it's like the line where it's like not punk enough for you, and the bass goes like bum 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 bum. Such an odd little bass thing I do, but I actually kind of like that part. But yeah, this is a pop punk song. Obviously, all the vocals were recorded by Thomas. He does all of his own harmonizing as well. I don't sing at all in this song. But yeah, I always really like this track. I think this song is almost like deceivingly complex for a pop punk song. I think the melodies are really, really interesting and really strong on it. I don't know, it just has like a different feel to it that I've always really liked. And I love all the references to it. And the song is true as hell. Thomas and I were both huge Bowling for Soup fans, and whenever they would go on tour, it seemed like they would always purposely miss Florida. And I like how Thomas like calls out the bands that they were touring with at the time. But yeah, this song is so true. And you guys might ask, did Bowling for Soup ever hear this song? Well, the answer is yes, actually. Believe it or not, I don't know how. But about a year after this song came out, Thomas gets a Facebook message from Jarrett Reddick of Bowling for Soup. And he pretty much explains that he loves the song and that he wants us to be on his new podcast where he talks to bands. And he's like, it's going to be free publicity. We're going to talk about the song. It's going to be great. And it was just so cool. Obviously, that never ended up happening. But I don't really know what happened, actually. I don't know if Thomas maybe replied too late or maybe the podcast just never really happened. But we were in a band called the Natales at the time. And I remember Jarrett saying something like, you guys are hard to track down. You change your band name more often than I change my socks. Classic Jarrett humor. I love Jarrett Reddick. Such a great songwriter. Really good guy in the pop music world. But yeah, that was such a cool thing. And the funny thing about it is that Thomas actually would go to see Bowling for Soup at the Warped Tour. I guess it must have been a year later, maybe a couple years later. I don't remember when it was. But they actually did come to Florida. And he got to meet them. And Thomas made some kind of comment about it. He was like, I'm the guy who wrote the song. And Jarrett was like, we got him. And he took a picture with the band. And it was just like a great thing, I heard. Obviously, I wasn't there, but you're probably wondering, like, how did Jarrett Reddick even find this song? I have a couple of different speculations. One is maybe like a lawyer sent it to him. Because, like, I mean, we straight up just used the band name in one of our songs that we distribute on, like, Spotify and everything like that. Or maybe he just found it by searching his own band name. Or maybe somebody sent it to him. I don't really know what happened, but somehow he found it. Because we never sent it to him. He just kind of found it on his own. And the last little tidbit that I'll say about this song is that the line, fuck you in your 2113, or whatever that line is, was actually originally fuck you in your 1985. But I convinced Thomas to change it to 2113 because I was like, we just seem like mainstream fans if we quote 1985. And 2113 was like my favorite song. Like that was one of my favorite songs back in those days. Still to this day, I love that song. So yeah, I wanted to reference that song instead of 1985, and Thomas agreed. So I got my way with that one. But yeah, always liked this one, and it's cool that Jarrett Reddick has heard it. Love me some Bowling for Soup. Anyway, track 3 is Food Robbery, the first rap song on the album. It's another song that Thomas wrote completely by himself in his room. He wrote this amazing beat to it, and he wrote all the lyrics to it. And then we both recorded it at school. I actually have distinct memories of recording this one at school. I remember recording some lines in front of my history class, and then certain lines, like the last chorus, in front of my biology class, which I share with Thomas, Miss Alberto's class. So yeah, this is one I actually have distinct memories of recording. And there's a line in this song where it's like, why don't you just save some fucking for me, that I sing, or I rap. And the original line was, why don't you fucking save some for me? But Thomas had never sent me a demo of him singing my parts. So I was kind of coming up with my own flow while reading these lyrics on a notepad. So I accidentally got the words mixed up. So that's why I say that. Why don't you just save some fucking for me? And Thomas thought it was funny, so he left it in there. But yeah, that's why that line is kind of grammatically incorrect, I guess you could say. but it's still pretty humorous, I'd say. But yeah, I really like this one. I don't know why. It's such a goofy song. That's me doing the dolphin noise during like the second verse. And I just love the chorus to this song too. We just go off in our goofy little voices. The OMG, it's a food robbery. And you can hear me like screaming at the end of the last chorus. May! And then Thomas saying the B word. The B word. But yeah, I don't know. This is a really goofy one, but it's short and sweet, and I think it's pretty awesome. Anyway, track 4 is Be Taken. This is another Thomas solo song. He programmed the drums, he plays guitar, he sings every word, he wrote the entire song, and I play bass, once again in air quotes. This is kind of a weird one. It's kind of a weird, kind of Beck-inspired track, I would say. I don't really have much to say about it. I think it's interesting. I like it as track 4 on the record. The lyrics are pretty great. Anyway, track 5 is Don't Know What's Going On. This was one of the first rap songs written and recorded for this album. I remember recording many different versions of this song, like dating months and months back, and I still have all like the different versions of this song. This is another one that Thomas wrote alone in his bedroom. Once again, Thomas wrote the beat, Thomas wrote all the lyrics, and yeah, I have a couple of different things to say about this song. The first being the line, I never liked it because I never lost my mind. For some reason, Thomas thought it would be hilarious if we said, I never liked dick because I never lost my mind. So that's what he ends up singing for that line, but we're both like singing at the same time, but I say it, he says dick, because he thought it was funny. I remember being really against it at the time and kind of explaining to him that like that could be kind of viewed as homophobic. And like I really was against him saying that, but he's like, no, it's just funny. It's not about like being hateful or anything like that. But yeah, I just wanted to mention that real quick. Thomas just thought it was funny. It wasn't meant to be hateful or anything like that. But even I was really against it at the time. But anyway, the other thing I want to mention about this song is my verse, where it goes, Axel, no, I think you meant asshole, yes. I actually came up with that little melody there. Originally, the song was a little bit different, and I actually have like demo versions of us recording it how it originally was. Originally, the line was, Axel, no, I think you meant asshole, a stupid-ass loser who don't got a soul. He was right about Courtney, but other than that, etc. But I don't know, I just came up with the idea to do that little switch up, the Axel, no. So that's what we ended up doing for the final version of the song. And it's funny because like the verse I sing is like obviously a diss on Axl Rose and Courtney Love, and I don't really know the story behind them. Like it's funny because like I'm singing a song about hating Courtney Love and stuff like that, but I don't really know anything about Courtney Love, honestly. And I don't really know anything about Axl Rose either. I'm not a Guns N' Roses fan. I don't really know. Yeah, I don't really know what I'm singing about here because Thomas wrote it. But I always thought that was kind of funny how I don't even know what the fuck I'm singing about. Other thing I'd like to mention is that this song references David Hasselhoff amazingly because, you know, when Thomas and I would start rapping again, you know, in 2021 with the group Damn Cool Vision, we would reference David Hasselhoff all the time. So this is like the first reference to him. Dates back all the way to 2015. But yeah, I really like this song. That's me doing the fresh at the end with the wiki fresh. I don't know why I'm singing all weird like that, but yeah, kind of a funny song about dissing older hair metal stars who should get off the stage, I guess. I don't really know. Thomas wrote the lyrics, but the chorus is funny because it's just fun to say, don't know what's going on. I remember us recording that, and it was like really hard to do actually, because we just kept saying it over and over again. It was almost like hypnotizing in a way. But yeah, that's that. Anyway, track 6 is You're a Fish, a very short song. This is another rap track on the record. It's only 45 seconds long. Another song that was written completely by Thomas. He wrote the beat, he wrote all the lyrics. I remember recording this one at school in the morning by the Loser Steps. And this song is interesting for a couple reasons. One is because it's like the only song where we go back and forth in our rapping. So Thomas starts the song off with the first line, and then I follow him with the second line, because he was doing everything but swimming the way. And then I do the harmony, hey, and Bobby always said, let me fuck you in the A. And then Thomas does the fast part, and obviously I do the funk harmonies and stuff like that. And we both sing the chorus, and then we go back into kind of switching back and forth. So that's kind of interesting. I wish we did more of that, because I like it on this song. And the other thing that's interesting is that this song is mixed differently than any other rap song that we ever did. There's actually panning on it. Yeah, Thomas panned the vocals, and that was a great choice. I love the way this song sounds because there's panning on it. I don't really know what prompted him to do that, because there's literally no panning on like any other recordings by this band. But for this song, for some reason, there's panning on it. For those who don't know, Thomas mixed all the songs, so he mixed all the rap songs. And, he never used things like automation. He didn't even know what automation was at the time. He would just we would press record, and then that would kind of be the final mix. But yeah, for some reason, this song was actually kind of mixed. But yeah. And a couple other things I'll say about it is that there's a line in this song where it's like, I'm not your rainbow fish, but I got the fins to flaunt. But that's a line that I would end up stealing for our group Damn Cool Vision, and I would use in the song Happy Trills. So I just wanted to reference that real quick. And the last thing I want to reference is that this song makes a reference to mangina, which was what Thomas called my dad's girlfriend's son. He never called it, to his face, but whenever I would talk about him, he would be like, oh, mangina? Don't ask me how he gave him that nickname. But yeah, Thomas was wild and vulgar in those days, and probably regrets being so insensitive. One last thing I'll say about this song is the ending, where Thomas cuts off the beat, and you can hear me still singing the chorus. You're a fish, you bit. And I just stopped singing. He actually did that because on the song Pancakes, he gets cut off, and he keeps singing. So he was like, I'm going to get you back for that. So yeah, he purposely cut it out there just so I could look like the idiot this time around. Anyway, track 7 is Jacob Thinks I'm Gay. Speaking of insensitive, this song has it all. I love this song. This is one of my favorite songs Thomas has ever written. I just absolutely adore the vibe and just the melodies of this song, especially his harmonies. I mean, Thomas's harmonies are so good on this track. This is a pop punk song, once again, written completely by Thomas alone in his bedroom. He programmed the drum beat, he plays guitar, I play bass on it, and Thomas sings every word of it. Yeah. This song is crazy. It kind of tells a fictional story about a guy named Jacob, who I guess has his eyes on Thomas, and Thomas says he doesn't want him, he wants Melissa Deblin and Katy Perry and Zooey Deschanel and Hayley Williams. But yeah, these lyrics are just crazy. They're very descriptive, borderline offensive, but almost kind of not, because they're just so ridiculously goofy. Again, this was never meant to be a hateful song whatsoever. We were always anti-homophobic behavior, but for some reason, I guess like Thomas's sense of humor kind of made it occasionally seem like he was for it. I don't really know what was going on, because Thomas was bisexual himself, so I don't really know. I don't know. But this song was never meant to be hateful at all. It's just meant to be a goof. But yeah, it just tells a very strange story, and it tells it in a very descriptive way. It's funny because Thomas actually had a friend named Jacob, who's actually on the front cover of this album. He's in one of the picture slots. But obviously the song is not about that Jacob. It's just kind of a fictional story, and he just so happens to use Jacob's name. But I always wanted to do a music video for this song. I came up with this idea of having Jacob, Thomas's friend, kind of like creeping and staring at Thomas, and Thomas kind of trying to run away from him. But that music video never ended up happening, because Thomas didn't really want to make it happen. But yeah, I always thought that should have happened. But yeah, this song, I don't know why, I just really like this one. It's just so goofy and ridiculous. I love the melodies to it, and I also like my little bass part that I do, the dun dun dun. Yeah, once again, one of my big breaks for bass playing on this album. But yeah, anyway, let's go ahead and skip to track 8, and you know what, we'll throw track 9 in here too, because these songs are little skit songs that go together. So track 8 is called Ladies and Gentlemen, The Fabulous Trash Can Farts, and track 9 is called I Cry. So, Ladies and Gentlemen, The Fabulous Trash Can Farts was a skit that Thomas came up with. He thought it would be funny to kind of be this like gothic, screamo, emo band called Trash Can Farts. So that's him doing like the first part of the skit, and then it cuts out and you hear just like random clapping, and then me saying, "What is this, patty cake?" And then me saying, "Shut up!" Yeah, so like Thomas does the first half, which was recorded at his house, and then I do the second half, which was recorded at my house. Obviously, I didn't have an iPhone, so I used my M Audio Producer USB microphone. So again, you get that kind of weird thing where it's like two different microphones recording. But yeah, I don't really know what the hell this thing is about, but I guess we thought it was funny at the time. And me like kind of clapping, to obviously indicate that it's like a really dead crowd. It just reminded me of like people playing patty cakes. That's why I say that. And yeah, the next track 9, I Cry, is just the band continuing and then playing a song called I Cry. And yeah, it's just really goofy stuff, but I like those little skits. Anyway, it leads into track 10, which is Teacher Planning, the heaviest song the Sensitive Nachos have ever done. This is another one that was written completely by Thomas alone in his bedroom. He wrote all the lyrics, he programmed the drums, play guitar, and I play bass, once again in air quotes, on this song. And I love this song as well. I think this song is kick-ass. Thomas did such a great job writing this one, and his vocal performance is just spot on. Probably the heaviest vocals he's ever done in a recording. Yeah, he was really into bands like Psycho Stick and Anal Cunt around this time, so I think that metal influence kind of came off a bit more on this album. But yeah, this song just kicks ass. Once again, very insensitive, kind of offensive, but yeah, I think this song is pretty awesome. And the title of it, Teacher Planning, actually comes from a sign that Thomas stole from Miss Alberto's biology class. So, the story behind that is, we were waiting for the bell to ring by the front of the door, and I see this sign on the wall that says Teacher Planning, and it's kind of coming unscrewed, so I start unscrewing it, and I get to the point where I unscrew it all the way, and it's actually like out of the wall, and I kind of like mess with it a little bit, and Thomas notices me messing with it, so he decides to just pull it off the wall, and then he just decides to put it in his backpack, and we literally just leave. And still to this day, he still has that Teacher Planning sign that he just took off the wall that I unscrewed for him. And yeah, I love that. And it's actually on the front cover of this album, so you can see what that sign looks like, that Teacher Planning sign. So that's why the song is called Teacher Planning. Alright, track 11 is My Girl, Jesus Jim. Another one that was written exclusively by Thomas alone in his bedroom. He programmed the drums, he plays guitar, and I play bass on it, and he sings every single word in the song. Once again, a very almost hardcore influenced vocal performance by him. But yeah, this one also features another one of my big bass breaks. For some reason, I decide to play one note really loud in the song. And my reasoning behind it at the time, and I explained it to Thomas, was I wanted to give the song a live feel. And I just imagined, this band thrashing out. And then somebody bumps into the bass player, which makes him bump into his amp. And somehow the volume gets turned up just for that one note. And then the band continues to rock on once he turns it down a little bit. That was my explanation for why that one note was really loud. But yeah. Anyway, this song, once again, kind of almost like a hardcore influence song. I remember Thomas doing a demo of this song really early on, and I didn't know what he was saying at the end of the song. And I was like, what are you saying at the end of this song? Are you saying Jesus Jim? Obviously he wasn't, but from that moment on, we always refer to the song as Jesus Jim. I don't remember what he's actually saying, but I know that when he recorded this version, he actually purposely said Jesus Jim. I'm trying to think of things he could have said, like she's with him, or I don't know, something that rhymes with Jesus Jim. But yeah, this song, I like the lyrics to it. It's actually pretty aggressive in all the right ways, I think. Yeah, I like this one. Anyway, track 12 is Brush It Off. Now, this is another one that is completely all Thomas. I don't even play bass on this one. This is just completely Thomas. Yeah, this is a really strange, odd song for Thomas to write. This one, really made me scratch my head when I first heard it, because I thought it was, deeply profound. If you listen to the lyrics, they're actually, somewhat introspective and deep. I don't know. I remember asking Thomas about this song when he first wrote it. And he was just I just wrote a bunch of random words down. He did not mean for this song to be as deep as it is, I think. And yeah, I don't know, something about this song, just the way he sings it, and just the way it's kind of a weird, different song. Him doing all the percussive hits, on his guitar, and just, I don't know, there's a lot of interesting stuff going on in this song that I quite like. But yeah, Brush It Off, strange track. Anyway, track 13 is Fuck You, another song completely by Thomas. I'm not on this song at all. It's just Thomas and his acoustic guitar. Hilarious interlude track of him just singing "Fuck You." Yeah, I don't know. I love this song. Such a short little skit, but it's awesome. Track 14 is Do What You Want, another rap song on the record. Also, one of the few co-writes on the record. I remember Thomas and I writing this one in Miss Alberto's class, and I actually still have the original lyric sheet for it, which is available on the Sensitive Nachos website if you guys want to check that out. But yeah, this song was inspired by me constantly saying, do what you want, because I just didn't care about anything. So Thomas would ask me all these questions about the band or just about life, and I would just be like, do what you want. So obviously this song was born. Do what you want, do what you want. That's me doing the little part. But yeah, such a goofy song, but I don't know, I really like this one. I love like the funky beat. Once again, Thomas makes all the beats. Great beat by Thomas. And we just had so much fun recording this one. And we did a pretty good job at recording it. I mean, some songs were just like a complete mess, but this one actually is pretty tight. And the other thing I remember really vividly about this song is recording the ending bit where we're just screaming and like ad-libbing. That was completely improvised. I remember we were walking to class and we had to go through like the drama stairwell. So that's where it kind of gets echoey. And Thomas is just going off and I'm going off in the background, kind of doing like a Flava Flav kind of thing. He was my inspiration back in those days. And it's just hilarious. There comes a time where we just start screaming and the microphone is like clipping beyond belief, but it sounds cool like that. And yeah, and in the background you can also hear us just doing the "do what you wants," which we recorded a bunch of while we're just like going crazy on another vocal take. And then the song ends with "what you want, motherfucker," Thomas going "what you want." Yeah, I don't know, I've always really liked that ending. Really like this song in general. I like how it's a song just about me being lazy. Like I tried again to get you to work. Ain't that the truth? He would always try to get me to like do stuff, and I was just so lazy back in those days. But yeah, I always really like this weird funky number. Anyway, track 15 is "Got a Dollar." This is a song that I actually came up with the idea for, but Thomas wrote all the lyrics to it. So yeah, I came up with the title, and the title was inspired by something that happened at my Aunt Karen's house. So we were over there for like Sunday dinner or something, and my grandma and her friend Mary were there, and somebody needed $1. And both of them like stood up at the same time saying, "I got $1." And the other one was like, "I got $1." And the other one was like, "I got $1." I don't know, something about it was just so hilarious to me at the time, how they kept going back and forth saying that they had $1, trying to like one up each other. I don't really know what it was. They had such a unique dynamic, those two. But it just like inspired me to like tell Thomas about it. I was like, we have to have a song called "Got a Dollar," where we kind of go back and forth saying like each one of us has $1. And that's the thing about this song. Like I always imagined the chorus being different. I always imagined us kind of going back and forth and it kind of like heightening each time. But instead it kind of turned into like a monotone song where we just kind of sing, "Got a dollar, got a dollar." I wanted it to be like, "Got $1, I got $1, I got $1, got $1, got $1," kind of thing. But that never ended up really happening. Instead, we just kind of went with the monotone rapping. But yeah, I like this song. I just don't really like the vocal performance on it. I just feel like we're kind of lazy with it, which I guess makes sense in the song because there's a song about being lazy. But yeah, another thing I want to mention is that for our group Damn Cool Vision, I would end up stealing another line from this song, the "I'm the laziest criminal you ever did see" line I would use in the song Bum Bum. So yeah, that's kind of funny. And that's me doing the final verse in this song. I don't really know why I sing it like that though. "Well, this just got that present time to change the mood. I don't want to write the present song, dude." Yeah, I don't really know. But the line about like a skittleless bitchin' too, that line, obviously Thomas wrote all the lyrics to this song. But that line was, I guess, a reference to some band. I don't remember who it was, but they kind of had a line about like Skittles. Maybe it was like a Day to Remember. I think it was actually like a misheard line in a Day to Remember song about like a skittleless bitch or something like that. I don't really know what that means, but yeah, once again, Thomas wrote all the lyrics to this song. But I did give my grandma and her friend Mary writing credits on like the Sensitive Nachos Bandcamp. Once again, I liked giving random people credits, even though they didn't write this song. They never even heard this song. But it's just for the title when they said "Got a Dollar" and it inspiring me. So that's why it says like lyrics by MC Granny and good old Mary on the Sensitive Nachos Bandcamp as a joke. But yeah, that's this song. Anyway, track 16 is "You Are What You Eat," another rap song. A lot of rap songs in a row on this record. Yeah, this is a song that Thomas wrote. He came up with the beat. But him, me, and a guy named Evan LeBolt all have writing credits for the lyrics. Evan LeBolt was a friend of Thomas's, and I believe he wrote like one line in this song. I don't even really think I think he even barely wrote that one line, but we just liked giving random people credit. And Evan LeBolt, I don't know, I guess he came up with one of the lines. I wasn't there for that part, but I remember writing this song. Thomas wrote, obviously, pretty much all of it, but I think I might have contributed like one line like I always do, so that's why I got that one credit. But yeah, I really like this song. I think the concept is kind of funny, like you are what you eat, so you are food, you know? But yeah, this is pretty much a song just all about food, and it's pretty funny, I think. Other thing about this song is that Justin Tongolo Defective gets a vocal credit on it, which I don't really remember him being a part of this song. When I listened to it, the only line that I could think of that might be him is when we talk about Bosco 6, Donuts, and Coke, not stupid Pepsi. the stupid Pepsi line, we're all like screaming in the background. I think that's when he's on this song, because he's not on it anywhere else. I think it's just that one line where he sings, so we put him in the credits. I remember recording that while in the drama stair hallway, where that's why it has that like big echo to it, because it was like an echoey hallway. Same place where we did the Do What You Want ending. But yeah, we had a lot of fun with this one. I remember recording this one as well. Yeah, it took us a while to record because it's somewhat long for like a Sensitive Nachos rap song compared to some of the other songs on the record. And yeah, I don't know, we just had a lot of fun with this one. I really liked singing the skinny belly line. I remember I came up with that and thinking it was kind of funny. And then Thomas does some of his like screamo, almost like death metal screams in this song. All about that cake. Then I do the high harmonies, quesarito. But it's awkward because I had the mic for some of those. So like I wanted it to be like a background harmony, but it ended up being loud. And yeah, this song is pretty poorly mixed in many different ways. But yeah, one thing I will say is that I love the chorus to this song. We both harmonize, I think, so well. And we never even planned that harmony. I just started singing it high. And Thomas is like, yeah, do that. That sounds good. So we do our best like grunge impressions. And yeah, fill me up, I need some food to get me through. Yeah, it's kind of funny. And then Thomas doing the yeah always makes me laugh. Yeah, just a lot of strange things about this song. When Thomas starts like saying fuck over and over again, and I'm just making that weird noise in the background, kind of thing. The ending, though, I think is kind of poor. I really hate my vocal performance. I sing really out of time, and I don't like my voice. I'm doing all those goofy voices where we kind of go back and forth with the "You are what you eat, so I am food" line. But besides that, I really like this song. Very strange, but it fits in with the catalog quite well, I think. Anyway, track 17, Teach 'em How to Surf and Then Shove 'em Up Your Butt. Great title, obviously a reference to the Butthole Surfers, who Thomas was a huge fan of. This song is written exclusively by Thomas, beat by Thomas, lyrics by Thomas. Yeah, this is just a strange one, because it's like a rap song, but it's not really rap. It's more of just like I don't even know how to describe it. It's just like a weird, almost like pop song, where we pretty much scream, teach 'em how to surf, them shove up your butt. I remember recording this song in the morning at the Loser Stairs, and I don't know why, but we kicked ass on this song. Like, the performance is actually really good on it. We sing really well. I think we're always in time, and it just sounds a little bit better than some of the other songs on the record. It sounds more put together, like we were actually trying. And I remember recording the ending part where it's like, there's no chorus, I hope you don't bore us. We didn't have a click track or anything. We were just going. And I remember being so nervous that one of us was going to mess up, and I was like shaking, but we didn't end up messing up. We actually ended up getting it perfect. And yeah, I don't know, this is such a strange track, but I like it because it's just so random and ridiculous. But yeah, it's a fun song, I think. And one thing I want to quickly mention is that this song actually starts cut off. I think it starts off with like, fingers go into the electric outlet. Like the first like line is kind of cut off because it counted in. So Thomas like wouldn't really give space in the recordings. It would just be like a count of 4 and then the beat would start. But I think the vocals to this actually start on like the count of 3. So it's another example where like the first like line kind of gets cut off. So yeah, once again, it shows our noobery, I guess you can call it. But yeah, anyway, track 18 is Girl You're So, another song written exclusively by Thomas alone in his bedroom. Once again, drums programmed by Thomas, guitar by Thomas, vocals by Thomas, bass by me. But yeah, as a kid, I hated this song. I thought this was like the worst song of all time, and it annoyed the hell out of me as a kid. I couldn't even listen to it. I thought it was like just terrible. And the funny thing is like when he first recorded this song, he recorded many different versions of it, and each version kept getting more and more crazy vocally. It originally started off as being kind of pleasant, actually, just like a pleasant little pop song where he's singing normally, but then he started like screaming it, and each take he would do, it would just get more and more intense. So the final version that came out on the record is just almost ridiculous vocally. He's just going off. And I thought it was just the most annoying vocal performance I'd ever heard in my life, especially for like a pop song. Like, I just didn't get it. I also didn't really like the lyrics. I thought they were too fratty and kind of gross. But that's kind of the whole thing about the song, is that like it's supposed to be kind of like satirical, and like the fact that he's like screaming ridiculous is kind of the point, which I didn't really understand at the time because I was like, well, there has to be some kind of message to it if it's going to be satirical. But no, it could just be random and kind of unlistenable for fun. But yeah, I actually really like this song nowadays, and I actually love his vocal performance nowadays. I don't really know why I hated it so much as a kid, but I get a kick out of this one because it's just so bizarrely ridiculous, and like its main purpose is just to annoy people, and it succeeds. But it's also actually a very catchy song. Yeah, so this is such a strange track, but it's also like a very normal song at the same time. Really poppy, really strong melodically. But yeah, it can be difficult to listen to because it's just so crazy, and it loses it at the end. Anyway, track 19 is Screw Themselves, the final Sensitive Nachos track. This one was written by Thomas Bjorkstrand exclusively. He programmed the drum beat, he plays all the guitar, I play bass in it, and he sings every word of this song as well. He does all of his own harmonies, like all the rest of the songs in this record that are pop punk. So yeah, this song I think is a fantastic way to go out. I really like this song. I think it's a really good, solid pop punk tune. I've always said that this song takes all of the cliches found in bad pop punk songs and puts them into a good one. And I like that description because it's so true. Like lyrically, I really think this song is one of Thomas's stronger outputs for this band. Yeah, I don't know. I just like the way the lyrics are written and how they kind of like change depending on the verse. That's like a classic pop punk thing. And yeah, this song is just like, it's just a pop punk staple, I think. Like everything from the guitar playing to the lyrics to the melodies. It's just like it's a really solid pop punk song to go out to, like I said earlier. And yeah, I don't really have much else to say about it, except I just like it. I just wish the production on it was better, because I feel like this actually could have been a pretty essential song if we recorded it properly. But then again, it fits in with the rest of the lo-fi vibe of this band. But I guess the one thing I'll mention at the end of this song is that that's me doing the fake crowd. That's me clapping and like being a fake crowd, essentially. And at the end I say, I love the Sensitive Nachos. And then I also say, I prefer the Lamos. Then I also say, who? And then I also say, dun dun dun. So I'm kind of like having a conversation with myself, trying to be like members of the crowd. But yeah, that's a reference to the Lamos. I referenced them in one of the episodes of this series, and that was a band that we started right after the release of Under the Influence, pretty much. And our plan after the Sensitive Nachos was to go back and be the Lamos again and go on to record that EP. So that's what we were going to do after the band. That's why I made a reference to it in the end of this song, because it was like, oh, it was foreshadowing the future, essentially, and I thought that was kind of cool at the time. But, of course, the Lamos never actually ended up putting out anything after this record, so we ended up doing James on Fire instead. But, yeah, I just wanted to mention that real quick. It's also kind of a nice little reference to that band. But, yeah, that Screwed Themselves for you. I also like Thomas's, his speech to the crowd at the end. Pretty funny stuff. But yeah, that's By Losers for Losers for you. The 19-song record, released May 23rd, 2015. Thomas came up with the title of this record, By Losers for Losers, which I always really liked. And as far as the artwork goes, once again, that is my work. But this time, I didn't just use Microsoft Paint. I also used a site called iPicky. So pretty much what I did is I made the background, just like the green background in iPicky, and then I put a bunch of pictures that we had, past and present, on the screen, kind of doing a little collage thing. I really liked album covers like Ghost Stories by the Lawrence Arms, or even like Nirvana's live record at the Muddy Banks. But yeah, I wanted to kind of do a collage for this record, and we had a bunch of the old pictures, and new pictures at that time. So I did that, and then I used like the sketch block font, Sensitive Nachos, By Losers for Losers, and I actually forgot to put a comma. So I actually drew one in Microsoft Paint. So yeah, you can't unsee it. I drew it with the draw tool, that little comma in between By Losers for Losers in Microsoft Paint. But yeah, I exported it back to Microsoft Paint, and then I drew the little things at the top, like the pancakes and the cupcake and all that stuff. So yeah, nice little reference to the past, the cupcake covered with bees and stuff like that. But yeah, this is probably my favorite artwork that I ever did for the band. I just think it takes the original Microsoft Paint ones to the next level by introducing the collage and the iPicky stuff. So yeah, I like the artwork to this one a lot. I like the title of it. I wanted the artwork to really represent the band as a whole, because when I made it, obviously I knew that this was going to be our last record. So at the top, like, I drew like the character from the Broken Bones EP, the baseball bat, which is a reference to Eat My Stupid Kid's Baseball Bat Sucker, the Christmas tree, reference to A Sensitive Christmas, Cupcake Covered in Bees, a reference to a song of Under the Influence, and Pancakes, a reference to the song Pancakes. And then all of the pictures were taken at various different times. So like there's some of me in Miss Alberto's class. There's one of like Thomas on the bus, and then Jacob on the bus, who is Thomas's friend. There's a picture of Justin Toggle from Defective, kind of wearing a YOLO bracelet, doing a rock on sign. There's a picture of Thomas drinking Pepsi. The story behind that is that I had won like a free Pepsi in my math class for getting like a question right or something like that. And I didn't drink Pepsi, I didn't drink soda, so I decided to take it and give it to Thomas just to see his reaction, because he obviously hates Pepsi. He's a Coke guy. So he drank it for the picture, and yeah. And there's also Roger Woolcott on the front cover of this record, who is a big supporter of the band. And there's a picture of me with like my arms in the air with like a long sleeve t-shirt wrapped around them. That was actually taken in 9th grade at the loser table while we were recording Under the Influence. What had happened is Thomas had taken my long sleeve shirt and he like tied my hands together, and he made just like the toughest knot of all time. We had to cut the shirt off of me because we couldn't get the knot out, and it was so tight I couldn't even move. So that's kind of funny. And obviously the teacher planning sign is on the front cover of this record as well. So yeah, I like how it kind of, it's a nice reference to pretty much the entire history of the band on this album cover. It's also kind of interesting because it makes the band seem like a bigger band than it is, because we have like multiple different people on the front cover, but half of them are just our friends. Obviously there's only 2 of us in the band. But yeah, that's the cover for you. So when this record came out, we didn't do anything to really promote it. We just kind of told our friends about it, and obviously nobody really listened to it. It was a flop like all the others. And we didn't even make CDs or anything for it. It just kind of came out, and that was that. But yeah, even before this record came out, we had already started working on new music. Like I remember we went through like this odd stage where we were like doing all these hardcore songs, and then we started kind of doing the Lamos stuff again. But ultimately, Lamos never ended up happening. And the next project we ended up doing was called James on Fire, which if anybody wants to hear the story behind that record, that EP, or record, I don't even know what it's considered. It's 7 songs long. It's an album, right? If anybody wants to hear that story, let me know, and I might do another one of these videos for that record. But yeah, the Sensitive Nachos ended. We lasted from April 2014 to May 2015. And I gotta say, I love this band. It's one of my favorite bands I've ever been in. I just love the lo-fi, carefree attitude. We just did things. We didn't have any managers. We didn't have any mixing engineers. We didn't have any recording engineers. We recorded everything on an iPhone. And we just recorded things so fast. We didn't know any better, but there's a certain charm in the recordings, I think. And yeah, it's just this whole band just represents a carefree time of just like kind of being ignorant, but kind of liking that fact. Ignorant in an anti-professional state is what I'm trying to say. I just love how this band is just like very anti-professional. Like we didn't care about anything. It's just like super lo-fi and super DIY, and that's just the things that I just love about music. So I'm really proud that this band represents that, just doing it yourself and having fun with it. And yeah, because there was no money, there was nothing, there was no fans. We just did it because we were bored kids. And I gotta say, we stopped at the perfect time. Like if you listen to all of our records front to back and put them all into like one discography record, it would all make sense, And yeah, like I don't know, like we stopped at the perfect time. I feel like we have the perfect amount of music out there, and we did all we could for the band, and it was time for us to do something else. And the record that we made after this one, the James on Fire record, to me is very different. I mean, it's very much the same because it's pop punk, but I don't know, things just got serious. We kind of stopped writing songs about cupcakes and goofy things like that, even though I miss that, because I think some of the topics of these songs are actually pretty unique. But yeah, we started writing just more about like serious kind of typical pop punk stuff, I feel. But yeah, the Sensitive Nachos has like a uniform theme, which I really like. And I think we ended at the perfect time. I don't really have much more to say. That's the Sensitive Nachos for you. Thank you guys for this journey. If you've listened to all these episodes, I know I'm probably leaving out a ton of stuff, but, I feel like at least I said something about this band, because there's not a whole lot of information out there about this band. But the website, if you guys haven't checked it out, is actually pretty informative. There's a lot of cool stuff, a lot of cool pictures on it. So go ahead and check that out if you guys are interested in it and if you like the band. So yeah, this is CJ McKenna, once again, signing off. Thank you all. Good night.